you and then we'll start our class today.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing that we did was our profit percentages and losses. So the profit that we defined was our profit was our selling price minus our cost price. And so the profit percentage was our selling price minus cost price over
Over
cost
cost
price
price.
into a factor of 100. And so our loss was cost price minus selling price, and our loss percentage was cost price minus selling price over cost price into a factor of 100. All right, we're already done with these questions and we've already done these formulas. So moving forward with it, what we're going to learn is our currency conversions. That was the first topic of the chapter that we started. So what are currency conversions? We already know that different countries have different currencies and they have to be converted in order for our currency to be used. So in currency conversions, even between China and Pakistan, we already know that there is a currency difference. So what is the currency that you guys use?
It's the yuan.
Yeah. So the Chinese currency and the Pakistani currency has a difference of, I think it's 24 to 25 rupees. So that is how we're going to convert it. In this example, we'll go with our euros and dollars, for example. So right now, in 2012, our euros was 1 euro is equals to dollar 1.25. So we know that whenever we're going to convert our euros into dollars, we're going to multiply them with a factor of 1.25. So 1 euro represents dollar 1.25. So if they say that we have to convert our, for example, 400 euros into dollars, what are we going to do?
And we have to multiply it by 1.25.
Yeah. So our dollars would be 400 into 1.25, and the answer that we're going to get is the dollars. All right. Now, going towards the other side, if we move backwards, if they ask us that we have to convert dollar 940 into euros, what are you going to do then?
Divide.
Yeah. So when we're moving backwards, we're going to divide your 940 with 1.25. And why is that the case? In this case, we go with the concept of ratio and proportion, which is when your 1 euro represents dollar 1.25. So your dollar, now what we're going to extract from here is what does your dollar one represent? So when we're converting our $1.25 into a dollar one, what we're going to do, what we're doing is we're dividing it with 1.25. Do you get that?
Yes.
So whenever you're doing that on the one side of the equation, you're going to do that on the other side of the equation as well. So when you're converting your euros into your dollars, you're going to divide it with a factor of 1.25. So for example, they told us that we have to find out dollar 940 into euros. What we're going to do is we're going to divide the number with 1.25. So it would become euro 940 divided by 1.25, and whatever answer you get is going to be your euros, or dollar 940 converted into euros. All right.
Okay.
So this is a very simple concept of currency conversions. There is no more in this topic. This is just a simple little topic that was included in your syllabus. Now, moving forward with the chapter, we have another concept is interest. So, what is interest? Interest is defined as the money added by the bank to the amount deposited by its customers. So, interest is the extra amount that the bank adds to the value that you've deposited in the bank. All right. So, there are two types of interests. We have simple interest and we have compound interest. Simple interest is simply the amount that the bank adds to your money every year, or half yearly, or whatever amount that the bank's policies has. All right. This is the simple interest. Now, when we're talking about compound interest is the interest added by the bank to the value that you've deposited over there over a number of years, over a lot of years. And what is the difference between compound interest and simple interest is that in simple interest, you're just adding the an extra amount to the value that you've deposited in the bank at the start of it. But in the compound interest, you add the value to the compounded amount every year, which means that if you've deposited an amount of, for example, $100 in the bank at the start of the year,
Yes.
and at the end of the year, you're getting an interest of, you can say, $10. So you have an amount of $110 now. Now, when they're going to go to the next year and give you the compounded amount, they're not going to add the amount of the extra amount on $100, but they're going to add the extra amount of $110, which is going to be increased. All right. So this is going to be the difference between your simple interest and your compound interest. Now, coming towards the formulas, simple interest has a formula of simple interest is equals to PRT over 100. Now, in
If
this formula,
I have a question.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Does
sure.
it matter if we like if we write PTR or PRT or TRP? Does it matter?
No,
No. Okay.
no. It does not matter. It matters when you're adding or subtracting. It does not matter when you're multiplying it because, for example, you have a 2 into 3 into 1, it's going to give you a product of 6. However, if you have a 1 into 3 into 2, it is also going to give you a product of 6.
Okay.
All right. So it's the same thing. So your simple interest formula becomes PRT over 100. Now in this formula, SI represents your simple interest. We already know that. Your P stands for your principal amount, which is the first amount that you deposited in the bank. Your R stands for the rate of interest per annum. So per annum represents your yearly rate of interest. And your T represents your period or the number of years that you're finding the interest about. So if they say that you have to find the simple interest over a period of 4 years, so your T would become 4.
So T
So this is the for
so T
yeah,
basically represents time.
yeah, it represents time period, the number of years.
Okay.
So when you find the simple interest by the formula of PRT over 100, you'll get an amount of the interest that is added to your amount. Now, this won't be the total amount that you'll be calculating, but it'll be just the extra amount that the bank is paying to you. When they ask you in the question to find the total amount that now you have that is when you'll do A is equals to P plus interest, P plus simple interest. Now, this means that the principal amount that you had already paid to the bank, you're adding the simple interest that you calculated by the formula of the simple interest, and then you finally get the total amount that now you have in
What
the
is
bank.
A?
All right, A is the total amount.
Okay. So
It is the simple interest added to the principal amount.
why do we use this formula?
You use this formula when they ask you about the total amount that the bank holds now. For example, there will be questions that will be asking you to simply find the simple interest. When they'll be asking you about the simple interest, you'll just calculate it through the formula of the simple interest, which is PRT over 100. However, if they ask you that you have to find the total amount that the bank holds, then you'll use the second formula, which is A is equals to P plus simple interest, in which you'll add the principal amount again to the simple interest.
Okay.
Do you get that? Okay. So this was the formula for our simple interest. Now coming towards our compound interest. Now compound interest holds the formula compound interest is equals to P 1 plus R over 100 raised to the power n. So this is the formula for your compound interest minus p. So in this formula, your CR represents your compound interest, of course,
Yes.
and your P represents your principal amount again. Your R represents your rate, which we just discussed later as well. And your N represents your number of years. We had T before, which represented the number of years in your simple interest, and in your compound interest, the same value is given by the alphabet N. All right.
Okay. I have a question.
So this is, yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
my book, we have this formula too, but
Mhm.
we have another formula. It says like you can also use the other formula.
Okay, which one?
It's L, I think L equal to bracket open P multiplied by 1.0 R bracket close minus P.
Wait, let me just check it.
It's on page 82.
Page 82. Can you repeat the formula?
It's on the worked examples.
Hmm.
L, I think it's L, I don't know, equal to P multiplied by 1.0 R and bracket close minus P.
Okay, that is going to be a difficult formula for you to take forward. Also, it is not L, it's
Yeah,
I,
I.
which means it's the interest. So that's the formula for the compound interest. It's almost the same thing. When you will be solving it further, you will know that you are coming towards this thing, this formula that you're talking about.
Okay.
But this is a simpler formula to understand and write, so it's better that you go with this. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so this was the formula for your compound interest. Now a question arises here that why are we subtracting the factor of p here? Do you get that?
Um, no.
Okay, so we say that our compound interest is the extra amount that the bank pays. So in extra amount, it's like that we have to find the compound interest by the extra amount, which is going to be your amount excluding the principal amount that you've paid to the bank. See, in simple interest, what we did was that we added a factor of p to our interest to find the total amount. Now, in this one, we're finding the compound interest when we're multiplying it with a factor of p already. So when we're multiplying it with a factor of p, this is the total amount that we get by this part of the formula. This gives us the total amount. Now, when we subtract the factor of p from it, then it is only going to give you the compound interest. In simple interest, we added the factor of p to our formula to find the amount. In this compound interest formula, we're already finding the compound interest by subtracting the value of p. Now, in the questions, if they ask you to find the compound interest, you're going to use this formula. However, if they ask you to find the amount of the interest, not the amount of the interest, but the total amount that the bank has now, you're already only going to find out, you're already only going to use this part of the formula. Do you get that?
Yes, I do get that.
All right. So, so this was the formula for our compound interest. Now moving towards some examples. So Um, let's do one example together. So they say that Richard deposits $5,400. So the principal amount is $5,400 and got back an amount of $6,000. So he got back an amount of $6,000 after a year, which means our T is one, 1 year. Find the simple interest. So what was the formula for the simple interest?
For the simple interest, the SI
Yeah.
equal to PTR over 100
PTR over
or
100.
PRT.
So in this case, yeah, same thing. We had this one formula, and the other formula that we did was amount is equals to principal plus interest. Now we know that in the question we do have P and we do have A, which means we've got two unknowns of this formula. And what we're going supposed to find out, we're supposed to find the simple interest. So using this formula, we know that we have A and we have P. We're going to make I the subject of the formula, which means that our P will going to be will is going to be shifted towards the other side of the equation. So this becomes A minus P is equals to I. So our
I have
A
a
is
question.
6,000. Yeah.
Why don't we use the simple interest formula first and then use the amount?
Do you know what the rate is?
No.
You don't. So we cannot find out what the rate is because we have, okay, yeah, we have simple interest, we have P, we have T. From this formula, we're going to find out the rate.
Yes.
We don't need rate in this
Okay.
question. Do
No.
we? We're only supposed to find out the simple interest. All
Okay.
right. So 6,000 minus 5,400 gives you your simple interest, which comes out to be $600. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So now moving towards another question about our compound interest. So they say that find the compound interest on $5,000, which means our principal amount is $5,000 for 3 years, which means T, or in this case, our N is equals to 3 at 8% per annum, which means our rate is equals to 3%. We have to find the compound interest on this. So the formula for the compound interest was,
For the compound interest was compound interest equal to p bracket open 1 plus r over 100 and the n minus p.
hmm,
The
all
power
right,
n,
very
I
good.
think.
So substituting the, yeah, it's the power. So substituting the for the values of everything, P becomes 5,000 multiplied with 1 plus R is 3 over 100 raised to the power N, which is 3 minus the principal amount, which is 5,000 again. So putting all of this in the calculator or either solving it manually, what we get is, I think you're supposed to use the calculator in the exam or not?
We are.
Are you allowed to? Okay, all right, perfect. So putting all of this in the calculator, what we get is we get the answer of $1,298.56, which is our compound interest over a period of 3 years.
Okay.
All right.